Silence, please. Please.
Thanks, speakers. My name is Sumaya Mohamud from MNARA Girls High School, and I'm here to propose the motion that states and government is to be blamed for the high cost of living. The cost of living, it means it's the amount of money needed to sustain a certain level of living, including basic expenses such as housing, food, health, and care. So we have gross domestic product. Gross domestic product, this is the total value of goods and services produced by the government, produced in a given country during one year. So, and the gross domestic product of Kenya is, and currently now, it's $43 billion, which is 4.8 trillions in Kenya shillings. So in this country, we have most of the people who are not employed totally. And yet, we have a gross domestic product, which is 4.8 trillion shillings. And the people who are employed in given counties, half of them, obviously it's half of them which are employed. So they earn, for instance, per month, they earn 1,440 per month. So my question is, where does the money that we earn goes to? That's all.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Abdul Malik Muhammad Ulu, a great opposer of the motion which reads the government is to be blamed for the high cost of living. And I'm from Garissa High School. First and foremost, let me start with the introduction. Government. The government is the governing body of nation, state, or community. Blame. To blame. Assign responsibility for a fault or wrong. Cost of living. Amount of money needed to sustain a certain level of living. I heard the proposer reading that the government is to be blamed for the high cost of living. Let me tell you, if I were you, I would have read the monopoly is to be blamed for the high cost of living. Why? For instance, let me explain. For instance, we have the Kenya Power and Lightning Company. For example, if there is a breakage at the power transformer here in Garissa, usually it will take for almost 2 weeks to be for the KPLC company to repair it. Why? Because they know that the helpless residents of Garissa County have no any other option or any other way to get electricity, and they are only depending on the KPLC. I want you audience to compare KPLC with Safaricom. Safaricom, I remember some days ago there was some interference with the Safaricom system for 3 hours. To compensate for that, they even gave 1 GB to every subscriber. Why? Because they have competitors like you company, Orange company. They know that if they don't solve the interferences and disturbances, customers will go to the Orange and you companies. But KPLC knows very well that there is no any other source of electricity in Garissa County and at all Kenya. My second point is that the main cause of high cost of living is rural-urban migration. In 2013, the rural-urban migration rate increased by 5.9%. Money used in Kenya are increasingly migrating to the urban areas. Problem number one that they are causing, low production. Why? Because they are leaving the women and the children at home who don't have the potential to cultivate and provide for the people at the urban centers. That will create low production. Thank you. Let me finish, time is running. The second one. The second problem caused by rural urban migration is high rent. When people from the rural come to the urban, the demand for rental houses increases. Hence, the increase of rent, which will result in high cost of living. I had the proposers usually the proposers complain that the government is increasing tax. Why? Because the doctors, your teachers and doctors are on strike. Tell your doctors and teachers to stop striking. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. And thank you, the speakers, for giving me this chance to propose the motion that says the government is to be blamed for the high cost of living. I say it is true that the government is to be blamed for the high cost of living. First, the government is killing the use of local products. How is it killing the use of local products? Just the other day, 45,000 tons of maize was imported from Mexico, whose quality is, by the way, in question, because the hours that you take from Mexico to Kenya is like days and months by the sea, and it takes 16 hours by flight. But you see, for 5,000 tons of maize cannot just be flown by flights, right? All of you agree with me on that. You see, if it is going to be transported by sail, it's going to take months and months, and by the time it reaches Kenya, the maize has already gone bad. Then who is the Kenyan government going to feed this maize to? The same Kenyan people that have voted them into government, right? And by the way, these are the same maize that are going to bring health crisis. That's the same maize that is going to cause like hundreds of people to die in just one day. Because remember that the maize is organic and it decays faster, and it becomes poisonous faster. And if it has to take so many days to reach Kenya, it has already gone bad, right? And I have a question for the audience, the judges, and for my brothers, the opposers. Why doesn't the government use this huge amount of money that they use to import tons of food products from other countries? Why don't they use this money to upgrade the farmers in Kenya? Because if you look at Kenya, 70% of Kenyans depend on staple food, which is maize. So why don't we use that money, that huge amount of money, those millions? Why don't they use that to raise the farmers? Why don't they use it to develop technology in agriculture instead of doing all of that? Thank you.
I say I never knew such beautiful faces will accuse the government and create and arrest rumors to the public. You know, I'm Abdulsaq Ali Ismail, representing Garissa National School, and I'm ready to antagonize the motion which states that the government should be blamed for the high cost of living. And my sister there said that the budget for Kenya is almost 4.8 trillion. I never had such a scenario because the current Jubilee regime has a budget of 2.32 trillion. And it's now expecting 2.39 trillion. So I never knew where you got that from. Another one, just to cross-examine, she said that the employment agenda is decreasing. Since the Jubilee and has taken over the rule of this nation, the development and the employment agenda is immensely increasing. Thank you so much. And the government should not be blamed for this. Why? Because there are other factors that are contributing to the inflation taking place in this country. Why? What? Like political instability in oil. The political instability in oil providing countries like Libya. And in 26th February 2016, I vividly remember, the Islamic State and the Levant, known as ISIL, it has seized all assets in Libya and conquered oil mining areas. So what this led to is low production of oil in the country. The little oil produced for the country is used domestically, internationally. So this led to Kenya falling trapped to import oil at high and expensive price, leading to rise of price in fuel. The same scenario is happening in Nigeria, where Boko Haram is acting an opposition side and reducing the political will of the country. This further leads to small amount of fuel as an import to this country, and also higher demand. Where there is higher demand, the lower the price. Another point to be considered as a fact is about pollution. Air pollution had adversely affected agriculture, where it had increased significantly in the past 25 years. So, just for example, in Thika town, it's known to be the most industrial town in Kenya. And the large industries and the factories located there emit harmful gases that mix with rainwater to form acidic rain. When this acid rain drops on soil, it reduces the fertility of the soil, isn't it? What harm has the fertility of the soil do with farming? Now, once acid rain drops on soil, it renders the soil fertility, and the number of trees continue to be squeezed. This leads to low production of agricultural products, hence low supply, high demand, higher price, leading to higher product and high cost of living in this mighty nation. I would like to tell my fellow proposers I would like to tell them that they should join us, because the government is not to be blamed for the natural calamities taking place that are contributing for the highest cost of production in this mighty nation. I tell you, widen up your wisdom. Have a happy Ramadan.
Silent, please.
Thank you. My name is Obia from Salama Girls, and my question is for the second boy who was speaking now. He said that those industries are causing air pollution, that are causing rain acid that's killing the plants. Why the government didn't place those industries at the right place?
Okay, hello everyone. My question is going to the national school, Garissa High School. Brother, you said we should not blame the government for inflation. Who should we blame particularly?
Assalamu alaikum. And sorry for joining you late, but my question is just to embark and sorry. My question is to, give strength to the same question that was asked by my sister here, but I felt she asked a little weak, so I want to ask the strong man. Please, thank you. I want to see his face. My question goes to the second opposer who was just here. So my question is, he said that the government should be blamed for the high cost of living, because he talked of some industries which are located here, emitting poisonous gases, something like that, then mixing with rain, which will form acid rain, which will in turn affect the soil and then the plants directly. So my question is, the government has a role to play there. It is its responsibility to ensure that its people have the right thing in all the corners. So the question is, those industries are either owned by the government itself, or rather they are parastatals. I mean, like, they are owned from external, but still they are taxed. So since the land where they that belongs to Kenya. Why can't they take action?
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm Idris Abdelkader Siat, hailing from Khalifa High School. I'm actually drowning in an ocean of confusion. Furthermore, I'm despaired. From what my fellow proposers say, you said the government is to blame for high cost of living, meaning that without government, the cost of living could have gone down. Generally, the absence of government in the economy causes market imperfection and leads to the collapse of key economic institutions such as banks. This in turn leads to high cost of living. Now enlighten me.
Please, go directly to the question.
Let me. I ask for the time. Just now enlighten me on how the presence of government cause high cost of living. Thank you.
My name is Zahra Abdulaziz from Nefdals High School. My question goes to the opposite side. What did you mean by political instability oil, please?
Out by the Ipsos Synovet shows that 67.97% of food shortage is caused by drought and famine. Why should you blame the government for a disaster that's caused by God?
And there are two questions for us. The first question I didn't quite understand from the young guy over there, but the second question I understood clearly. He's talking about most of the he said 67 point something percent, 67.79%, right? He said 67.79% what did he say? Of food shortage, yeah. It's caused by drought and famine, right? And all of those are natural calamities, which are caused by drought. Yeah, I've gotten it. Thank you. Which are caused by natural calamities, right? But then there are a lot of countries that face drought. They face a lot of natural calamities, such as Libya. Let me just get you to a flashback. Remember, during the time of Gaddafi, the whole country was very much stable. It was actually one of the most stable countries in Africa, right? But still, it used to face drought. It used to face all of these natural calamities. But you know, it's all about how the government governs that. It's all about how the government plans for the country. It's not about natural calamities. Thank you very much.
Hold on, please. I think this is what they have written, yes.
Huh?
This is what they have written, the first person.
The first guy.
Question, yeah.
So do you give me a chance because we got to
No, just answer, because we have
Right now?
3 minutes.
right. Take them. Actually, I'm realizing that his question also has the same answer. He says that, now enlighten me on how the presence of government causes high cost of living. The truth is, the government is to be blamed for the high cost of living. Even if, the government's presence is it has caused the high cost of living. If its presence is not felt, if the government does not change the cost of living, if the government doesn't help the citizens, then how is it in power? Why is it in power if it's not to help us in this place?
Yes. In front of you is Suleiman Ali Salat, a bona fide member of the Fabulous Form 4A of Garissa High School. I am a man, and I am a boy and a man enough to stand for the truth at all times. As well, Garissa High School values does not allow me to tell the lie at all. Now, if I may respond to some of the questions asked by the audience, it was a bit unfair that most of the questions were landing on Garissa High School. It was just like a war against Garissa High School. But as well, I will try to handle. There was one question I was confused with. A lady here was asking about it is either owned by the government or prostatal. So what is the difference by either owned by the government or a parastatal? I think that is the same thing. So in that question, I will handle it together with that issue on air pollution. How does air pollution contribute to how does air pollution contribute to high cost of living? You know, in this, we cannot blame the government. For instance, most of the people, especially the young youth, ran away from the rurals and came to the urban centers. Then the government cannot establish industries, or they cannot pre-plan some project in the rural areas where these people have already evacuated. So it is because that now that the government is thinking on how they can reduce those congestion in the towns, that's why now that they have forgotten in the rural area, and it is because of that that there is that acid rain that's now leaching the acid. In that issue of how inflation, who is responsible for inflation, a question from this side. Let me say, there is no way we can say that the government is responsible. Partly we can say that there's no way we can say the government is solely responsible for the issue of inflation. Inflation is simply that increase of prices of commodities, that constant increase. So we can say that most of this occurs from the businessmen who are sometimes holding the goods so that they might wait for the peak season so that they can increase their prices, so causing shortage. So that you see the supply is very low, but the demand for the good is very high. So now money loses value, you see? So we cannot now that a fault that is done by one individual, a businessman, or another small trader, we cannot solely blame for the government. The other issue on political stability, how does political instability, why can't we not blame the government? Let's say this is an external political instability. You know, Kenya, most of the oil we export it from the outside. Let's say from Nigeria, Libya, and Syria, and those Arab countries. So some of these countries are in political turmoil, you know, so are in political turmoil. So getting the raw material from this is very expensive. So it is that political instability in their countries that's now causing the high cost of living. So that one we cannot blame the government of Kenya. So that is enough. Let me go to my point. The government is really thinking about our people. Let's say you have been hearing about the issue of maize flour, that prices has been reduced from 150 to 90 shillings. The government is that much concerned about the people, but the people are still blaming the government. Another issue is that the government is always engaging the youth. The government has also provided subsidized fertilizer to the farmers, but it is most of these farmers who are engaged in cash crop growing. Lastly, let me conclude with my sister here, Kaltuma. Kaltuma, let me tell you, come to our side, please. Come, please. Come, baby. I am telling you, come. Because the government is ours. Serikali necessity. It is we who have elected this government. We cannot blame the government. Let us come to our side so that we construct the government and tell them where they are wrong and show us the right path. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon. I'm here to propose a motion that says government is to be blamed for the high cost of living. And yes, it is to be blamed. Why? Most of you might be asking why, right? The government takes taxes, and most, like half of the taxes are stolen through corruption. And if the taxes taken by the government does not come back to the economy, the prices of commodities go up, and the rate of consumption goes down, hence leading to death of many Kenyans. Let's say we are in Kenya. Concluding my point, we don't expect the government to be doing miracles, because they are just humans like us, but mistakes are done. So the government is to be blamed because it's to be blamed because it's the source of the government is to be blamed because let's just say the government takes the money from the people and doesn't come to the economy. So the government is to be blamed. I'm not trying to be cynical, but the pinnacle of this motion says yes, the government should be blamed, and I Hope you all agree with me.
Please. Thank you. Mohsin Ibrahim. First of all, you have to stop being hardcore. We are going somewhere. Kenya is going somewhere. Kenya is heading somewhere. We brought the ticket conference here. How many delegates came from around the world to attend the ticket conference? All the countries in the world came to Kenya. We are building the Konza city. In 2018, the first phase of the Konza city will be complete, and it will be the largest and the most developed city in Africa. The whole of Africa, my friend. The whole of Africa. Konza city will be the most, what can I say? Technology, all things will be found there. Secondly, you are talking on taxes. Our able cabinet secretary, Mr. Henry Rotich, thanks to him, he has imposed a waiver on taxes, which will allow the maize flour that it will reduce actually from 150 shillings to the current 120 in most supermarkets. But you can actually find it in shillings 90. It was brought in most of the supermarkets in Nairobi. Thirdly, I want to leave you with a quote that I personally built that quote. I made that quote a controversial debate maker myself. If you don't find solace and conviction in what you are fighting for, then in one way or another, you have lost.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we have listened to some very high quality presentations. When it comes to the mastery of the language, I think we have all seen that the two groups were very proficient. They spoke very well, and that was very, very impressive indeed. When it came to the mastery of the topic, I think again both teams showed very impressive knowledge of the issues surrounding this particular topic. If we look at the proposers, they went as far as giving us the GDP of the country to support the argument. They went as far as giving us the maize imports from Mexico to support their point about the local industries being killed. So they provided sufficient evidence, and if you go to the opposing team, I think they also did very well in that particular point. When they talked about monopoly also being to blame, they talked about KDLC, which they say is a monopoly, and they tried to compare it with the Safaricom, which faces competition, and therefore have to set competitive prices. That was very good. When they talked about the political instability which was causing problems with the countries where we import our oil and therefore raising the prices, they talked about the Boko Haram in Nigeria. I think that one went again to address the points that they were making. So both teams did very well in that regard. Although there is one instance where I noticed that one team was trying to misrepresent what another team said in order to attack them. I think the proposing team mentioned 4.8 trillion, which was attacked. But the other team was mentioning the budget not being 4.8 trillion, but the proposers are actually talking about the GDP rather than the budget. So I think that was not a very fair attack, because it was based on the representation of what was being said. But otherwise, we have listened to some very, very, very good debates. I think if we maintain those standards, we are doing very, very well. I'm very impressed by both teams. Thank you very much.
I concur with my colleague that indeed we have been treated to high quality debates, especially on researched facts. I have liked the sober and the candid approach to the issues. I was specifically impressed by the approach to the questions. Indeed, the members did try to approach the questions very well, in a well-researched way and convincingly. And this was very, very commendable. And especially the last two speakers from the opposing sides have shown maturity in approach to issues. I think that is very commendable. Thank you very much.
I also just want to comment about style and presentation. It was a good show from both teams, but probably something that I needed to comment right from the word go is about battling our sleeves. And that is not only affecting the last group, but all the way from morning. I think most of us were or forgot to battle our sleeves. I'm happy at least almost all of us had their shirts tucked in. But kindly remember that that we have the long sleeved. Make sure the sleeves are buttoned and not folded for as long as it's a presentation. Once you're out of the presentation, you can probably do what you want. Or if you did not want to put on the long sleeve, then let us do what? Let us put on the short sleeve. That will give us a better presentation at the end of the day. Maybe just to mention something, one of the presenters kept on repeating a phrase. I'm forgetting the phrase, but it began something like, why we have to, okay, I think I'll have to get where I wrote it. But let us avoid repeating the same phrase within a short period of time. It looks like you are stuck as far as your generating of the statements or your ideas are concerned. Thank you very much.